Hey, there you go. Just a little bit of all the things you are to get us started off with. So here's what I wanted to talk about. I was going to try and make this all fancy and whatnot. Let me get you right to the meat of what we're talking about. This is jazz standards, the jazz repertoire. Okay, it's kind of a collection of tunes that jazz players play a lot of. Bluegrass has their catalog of tunes. Jazz has their catalog of tunes called jazz standards. Now, it's it could be 100, 200 different tunes that are in there. When I was growing up trying to learn how to play, we would sneak out to this jazz club when I was in high school, and we would try and we would listen to them, and then they would have these open jam sessions, and we would try and plunk our way through a few of these tunes, and I didn't know any of these tunes and how it all worked. Well, they have books, fake books, that they are. This is the real book, and they are called fake books in the world of jazz. And back in the day, they used to be highly illegal, and they were truly just a collection of tunes that jazz players had written amongst themselves. The first real book I got, or the first fake book I got, was when I was in college, and we were, playing, and the back of the at the end of rehearsal, a shady-looking character came into the back of the band hall and laid a bunch of these books just like this in the back of the band hall and stood there, and that was all we got. So this is back a time before these things were published, when it was pretty illegal to have them, and you bought them out of the back of somebody's car. So that's nowadays how Leonard publishes these, and they've got the real book for rock, and the real book for jazz, and the real bluegrass book, and the real country book, and all kinds of things like that. So it has gotten very categorized with publishing and all. But anyway, it's a collection of book, and basically what it has, collection of jazz songs, basically what it has, I don't know if you have the link up there, but let me just show you. It is the melody line of the song. This is the song I just played. I didn't do the intro, but I started right here, and it has the melody line, and then it has the chords written up on top. All right, so my job then is to try and put these two things together. Now, the melody is generally written within the staff, but on a guitar, notes written within the staff are an octave lower than where they need to be if you're going to do an chord melody. So, like where this is written is here. In the middle of the instrument. But if I'm playing a chord melody, there's not enough space underneath me to do that, so I generally have to raise things up an octave. So the first chord there is an F minor 7th. We're not going to learn this tune, but just for example, an F minor 7th that has an A flat. So I don't play it down here. That's too low. It sounds too muddy. So I raise it up an octave, and I put my F minor 7th underneath that chord. Okay, we've talked about this many times. So any chord that you have can have multiple melody notes at the top. So let's talk about that first. If I have, let's say, this F minor 7th, well, man, I can have all kinds of melody notes on top of that. Really, the lowest one I could have maybe is that C. How many notes can I grab with just my free fingers? With my pinky that's free, I can grab as many as I can, and all of those could be a potential melody note. So in this one, I have to do an F minor 7th, and an A flat is the upper melody note. So here's one way that I was doing that. Now I have, the next one is a B flat minor 7th with a D flat as the highest note. So instead of going low, I go high and I raise it up an octave. So that's the first thing. When I'm doing a chord melody, I raise up the notes an octave higher from where I'm reading it from. And there's no magic to it. Basically, the gist is I see the chord. Let's say the third chord there is an E flat 7, and it's got a G as the high melody note. Well, I know I have to play that G, and then I just try and fit an E flat 7th underneath it. Is how I would do that. Then the next part is an A flat major 7th with a G. So I can do it there, or maybe there. But that's hard to grab when I'm just right there. So you have to kind of make all these little decisions of what chord form that you can use. Now, if you're not sure about these wonderful jazz chord voicings, which are different from chords that you use in bluegrass or rock or something like that. If I'm playing bluegrass, I'm on an acoustic, and I'm playing a lot of these open chords. If I'm on jazz, I want to generally avoid open strings. If I have a choice to play an open string or a not open string in jazz, I avoid the open strings. So if I have a choice to play an A minor down here, I don't play that. I play maybe something up here in jazz. And I always try and add color tones. So if it says an A minor, I will generally play at least an A minor 7th, or maybe even A minor 9th, or an A minor 11th, or an A, the more stuff I can add to it, the more colorful and jazzy it's going to be. So you want to at least add the flatted 7th and the 9th to things, and that'll make it more colorful. Okay. Now, if you're unsure about the chord shapes that I'm using, I did do a teaching in the fretboard workout called Jazz Chords. And that one, if you're interested in kind of diving deep in that, you might check that out, because then I go through basically the 4 chord families that I typically use and their variations. There's not many chords that I do not, that I will use in a thing that I don't represent in that fretboard workout. So you might check that. I mean, basically there's a set on the 6th string, G major 7th, A minor 7th, dominant 7th shape, minor 7 flat 5. So there's one with a 6th string root. I have one with a 5th string root with a bar based off of this shape. Then if I move everything, here I am in the key of C, if I move every one of these notes up to the next note in the key of C, I get this shape, the minor shape. So these are related. They're the same, in the same chord family. Sorry. And then you can't even get this one, it's too high up. Then I have the inside voicings of these. Wow, this is the whole jazz chord workout in 90 seconds. Then I do it in the 4th string chords. So let's say if I did it in F, it would be here, F major, G minor, A minor, E flat major, C 7th, D minor, E minor 7 flat 5, and F. Those are the shapes, and then I show you a bunch of variations with them. Those are kind of the jazz chord shapes that you use. I don't use open strings. I try and hit these jazz chord shapes with at least the 7th, probably the 9th. Neil is saying, folks are asking about my guitar. This is a Gibson ES335. Let's see, probably bought around 1981. It's kind of, it looks black on camera, but it's actually kind of a dark, really, really, really dark brown. And it's kind of a typical 335 Gibson. And I love it. So when I'm trying to do jazz, I'll play it up here to the neck pickup right there. I roll the tone off about almost down to nothing. I've got it down on about 3 right now. So it's got a very round sound. And that's what you want for jazz. So we've talked about how I would approach a chord melody. We've talked about some of the chord voicings I would use. Okay, if I wanted to just play the melody, let's say I had a little backing track or something like that, and I wanted to play the melody. Let me just see if I can do that real quick. I'll just make a little backing track real quick. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Play the melody. Now I could play it down an octave where it's written, but it sounds like this. Kind of low. So if I raise it up an octave, it'll sound a little bit better. So here I am. Now I'm going to play it in raised up an octave. Octaves. All right, so that's that. Now, if I wanted to solo, all right, jazz soloing in a few minutes, okay? Well, let me back up to the melody. If I was playing the melody, I could play it in the octave, an octave up. I could do octaves, and that worked. Other techniques are slides, and you can embellish the melody a little bit. So I've embellished the melody a little bit. This is not Bach, this is not classical, so I have that right to, it's almost expected, to not play the standard melody. That's the whole deal. This is just a roadmap, this is just a guide, and I'm going to try and add my take on it. That's what makes jazz jazz. So I can get as elaborate as I want to with it. Okay, so let me just turn this down for a second. If I wanted to solo over this, now I'm not teaching you this song. I'm teaching you the concepts behind this song. Okay? Here's a good way to approach it. A lot of folks don't know how to approach a jazz solo. Well, I'm going to give you several different keys to doing this. Okay? One of the things is jazz likes the third and jazz likes the seventh. Meaning that the root is generally the bass player's playing the root. If you have a piano player, he's playing the root. Everybody's playing the root. You don't need to be soloing playing the root. You generally like to be around something that starts on the third of each chord. So to get an idea of what I'm talking about, you can never go wrong by playing the melody and just embellishing the melody. Okay, that's one way to do it. You can never go wrong by emphasizing the third or the seventh in a chord. So in a second, I'm going to turn this on again, and I'm going to take you through a little exercise in how to start soloing. Now, how I'm going to start this is an exercise we've done before, but I would just want to take it a little bit further, so I'm going to move through it pretty quickly. I've got the chord changes here to my song. F minor, B flat minor, seventh, whatever it is. Now, if you don't know where to start with the melody. Try and at least get the melody down, and then elaborate on the melody. Okay, so let me get my track up here going again. Okay, so now if I elaborate on that. So I kind of have the melody in there. I'm just kind of elaborating around it. That's a good way to start. Now, what's another thing I could do? I could play the root. So I believe it was Benny Goodman or maybe Barney Kessel, I forget, says that in jazz, a jazz player juggles harmonies like a juggler juggles balls. Okay? So it's all about the harmonies that you can grab from these chords. So you have to understand what the notes are in each chord. Okay? An F minor seventh is an F, an A flat, a C, and an E flat. But Steve, I hate theory. Don't teach me theory. Well, you're not going to be much of a jazz player if you don't understand what notes are in a chord. But if you can understand what notes are in a chord, then suddenly everything gets to be a whole lot more fun. Okay? So this time, I'm going to play through these chord changes, and I'm going to try and play, let's say, I'm going to try to play the third of each chord. Okay, so if it's an F minor, I'm going to try and play an A flat. If it's a B flat 7, I'm going to try and play a D. I'm doing mental gymnastics, okay? So let me turn up my track again. I know y'all don't have the chords in front of you, so I'll try and shout them out, but I just want you to understand the concept. This is an A minor, so I'm going to play a C, then a D7, so I'm going to play an F sharp, then a G major 7, so I'm going to play a B, F minor 7, an A, to a B7 with a D sharp, to an E major 7 with a G sharp. I can't speak and talk at all, the chords are coming too fast. So I'm just going to play the thirds of each chord. And I'm playing around with a little bit of the rhythm, but I'm just doing the third of each chord. See, it even sounds like a melody. Maybe if I can kind of walk between these thirds. I'm still playing the third of each chord, just walking between it. That was fun. I'm just doing the third of each chord and I'm walking around between it. All right, so let me take maybe the seventh of each chord. Okay, so I got to do a little bit more mental calculations. Now, if the chords are coming too fast, as they are, they're coming really fast here. I know it. So if you want to practice moving these chords and you just can't think that fast, then take a standard, and I'll try and put some up. When we get done with this, I'll try and put some up on the discussion board and I'll put the link in the description below to a couple of standards that you can practice on. I'll do maybe All the Things You Are, maybe Blue Bossa, something like that as well. And you can practice on these chords. Now, if they're coming too fast, lots of things you can do. I can just double up how many measures I'm doing them. So instead of F minor 7th for 1 bar, I'll do it for 2. I'm just doing each chord for 2 measures, just to give myself enough mental time to be able to do it. All right. Now, I know I've covered a lot in this, and I know I'm deliberately going fast. I'm going to take it up another notch. Is that okay? I'm sorry. This is... I'm going to get a little more advanced here for you just for a second, okay? Now, in this particular example, I go from an F minor 7th, so just hang on to your theory hats for a second. I have an F minor 7th. Okay, now I'm not only just going to go to the third, I'm going to go to the chord that's on the third. So for an F minor 7th, the third of that would be an A flat. So if I built then a 7th chord on an A flat, it becomes an A flat major 7th. So over that F minor 7th, I'm going to be playing an A flat major 7th. So over this F minor 7th, I'm going to be playing an A flat major 7th, maybe an arpeggio. So I'm thinking going up to the third of each chord and then building a chord off of that. Now for minor chords, like an F minor, I go to the minor third, the A flat, and I build a major 7th chord. Now for like the next chord, which is a B flat minor 7th, and I wanted to go up to the flatted third and build a major 7th off that, what would it be for a B flat minor 7th? B flat minor 7th, what would it be? It would be a D flat, 3 steps up, B flat, C, D flat, the D flat major 7th. So over a B flat minor 7th, I can play a D flat major 7th, arpeggio, pentatonic scale, any of that stuff over that chord. So that's the minor going to the major. What if I'm on a major chord? What if I'm on a let's say an A flat major 7th, or let's make it easy. Let's say I'm on a C major 7th. I go up to the third of that, which would be an E, and I make it minor. Okay, so I'm constantly flipping. So over a C major 7th, I can play an E minor 7th arpeggio all the day long. There's a C major 7th. and it sounds like I'm playing really great jazz and all this sort of stuff. All I'm doing is the chord is here, I'm thinking 3 steps up, flipping it major, minor, and doing that. Okay, so that's how it works for minor chords. I go up to the minor third and build a major 7th chord. For a major chord, I go up to the major third and build a minor 7th chord. Now let me give you one more practice. If I was on an F major 7th, what chord substitution could I do for that? An F major 7th. Well, I would need to go up to the third of the F major 7th, which is an A, and build a minor 7th. So over an F major 7th, I could play an A minor 7th. And it's going to sound hip and jazzy. Okay? Now, we've talked about minor chords, we've talked about major chords. What about dominant chords? What can you do with that? All right, here's a trick you can do for dominant chords. If I'm playing, let's say, a C7, okay? Now, I could go up to the third of that, which would be an E, and I could play, not a minor, not a major 7th, I play a minor 7th flat 5. I told you, this is going to get thick. This is college level jazz here, okay? So over a C7, I'm going to play an E minor 7 flat 5. E, G, B flat, D, E, G, B flat, D, and you end up creating over that C7, all of its ninths and sevenths and wonderful things up there, and you're not thinking all of that complex stuff. You're just going 3 steps up and building a minor 7 flat 5. Let's try another one. If I'm on a B flat 7, what could I play? What could I solo over that? I could go to a D minor 7 flat 5. Sorry. And that works over a B flat 7. So we're talking chord substitution now. It's a fun little trick to play, and it's amazing how musical you can get by just doing arpeggios in that way. Okay, that's one way to approach it. I've got a dozen of these things, but that's one. Okay, Mark Pashalis is saying, would that be playing in a different scale mode? Okay, that's modes, which I'll get to in just a second. Let me turn on my track again. I wish I would have played it slower. Maybe I can. Maybe I can just... Okay, so I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to just slow this down a little bit. I'm going to do just like maybe the first 8 bars, okay? 16, I'll do the first 16 bars. And I'll tell you the chords while I'm doing them, okay? A 1, a 2, I'll be slow. A 1, 2, 3, 4, F minor 7th, to a B flat minor 7th, to an E flat 7, to an A flat 7, D flat major 7th, G 7th, C minor 7th, F minor 7th, B flat 7, E flat, A flat major 7th, A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G major 7th. Now I'm going to do this little arpeggio trick that I just told you about going up to the third of each chord. Now remember, for minors, it ends up being a major 7th, 3 steps up. For a major chord, it ends up being a minor, 3 steps up. For a dominant 7th chord, I go to its third and make a minor 7 flat 5. This is all I'm doing, okay? It's going to come around here. We're on the B flat 7th. And when it cycles back, I'm going to play just the arpeggios. And hear how musical it sounds. And all I'm doing is the arpeggios with that little chord substitution flippy thing I just told you. Okay, so the first chord we're going to hit is an F minor 7th, and I'm going to play an A flat major 7th arpeggio. Here's a B flat minor 7th, so I'm doing a D flat major 7th. pretty convincing. I didn't hit many wrong notes in there, and all I was doing was the arpeggios of that. Okay, so do you see how this could quickly end up being a lot more fun than just playing the notes on the page? You're constantly flipping these thirds up. Okay, let me tell you that one more time, because it's a complicated concept, I know. For a minor seventh chord, you go up to the minor third. If I was in C, it would be the E flat, and I build a major seventh arpeggio off of that. So an E flat major seventh arpeggio works over a C minor chord. If it's a C major chord, I go to its third, which would be an E, and I do a minor seventh arpeggio. D, which would be an E minor seventh arpeggio in the key of C. Okay? On a dominant seventh chord, let's say a C seventh, I go to the third again, E, but this time I do a minor seventh flat 5 arpeggio. And that works over those three types of chords, which are 95% of the chords you're going to run across. Now, what I was doing there is I would ascend in one, and then the chord would change, so I would have to descend in the next one. So it's a good exercise in learning your arpeggios. Maybe we should do a live lesson on arpeggios. I did in the bonus workshops in the Gibson's Learn to Master Guitar course, I did a section on jazz arpeggios and seventh arpeggios, and that's where I'm pulling all of this information from. Okay. Wow. I know I threw a bunch at you. Now let me show you one more way you can fiddle around with jazz. And then I'm going to give some stuff away, okay? Because I know I've been talking a lot. The first 5 chords in this particular song, an F minor 7th, a B flat minor 7th, an E flat 7th, an A flat major 7th, and a D flat major 7th, you think, oh my goodness, they're all random chords. No. Look for patterns. Look for tonal centers. I think I did a lesson with Dino Paston a year or two ago, and we talked about tonal centers. This is the concept I'm talking about now. So there's like 24 different chords in this song. No human can keep up with that. Well, maybe Rory Hoffman and Jack Pearson, they could keep up with that. But a regular guy, that's a lot of chords to keep up with. But I can simplify it by making tonal centers out of it, by grouping those chords into a key, okay? Now, if you just look at it, the F minor 7th, the B flat minor 7th, the E flat 7, that's what gives it away right there, the E flat 7. When it's a dominant 7th, it's 9 times out of 10 functioning as the 5 chord, so that'll tell you what the 1 is. An E flat 7, if that's the 5 chord, the 1 is an A flat chord. So and then after that it goes to a D flat chord. All 5 of those chords fit into the key of A flat. Okay, so follow with me now. If all I did was play and noodle around in the key of A flat over those 5 chords, I wouldn't hit a wrong note and it would sound completely convincing. Okay? That was a major life-changing concept I just laid on you there. Now, after that, I have a G7 and a C major 7th. Well, again, the G7, the 7 is what gives it away that it's functioning as a dominant, and it's functioning as in the key of C. So for those 3 bars, I could play in the key of C and be completely fine. I don't need to know the chords. I don't need to know anything. I'm just playing in that key. Okay? Now, the next one, C minor 7th, F minor 7th, B flat 7th, and an E flat 7, those are all, I'll just give you the answer, in the key of E flat. Okay, so far I've got 3 tonal centers. Most songs are not this complicated. This one's a little bit more complicated. I probably should have picked a simpler example. Those 5 chords are in the key of E flat. So I've got the first 5 chords are in the key of A flat. The next 3 chords are in the key of C. The next 5 chords are in the key of E flat. The next chords after that are in the key of G. So I've covered what is now, about 14 different chords, and I've covered them in 4 different tonal centers. Don't believe me that this will work? Let's try it. Let's see. Okay, here's the C major 7th. Okay, now the rest of these coming up are in the key of E flat. So I'm just going to play in the key of E flat. still on E flat, just noodling around. Now I switch the key of G. I'm just going down the scale. Now let's see, this is where I go back to the A key of A flat. I'm just doodling around the scale. What if I did thirds? Here I change the key of C. Hey, that almost sounded like a lick. That's thirds. That's that same lick I did 3 lessons ago on scales, and y'all said, oh, I hate doing scales. This is where you get these little patterns, and you can just run them up and down, and it sounds convincing. Now I'm going to go to the key of G. Let's do thirds. Back to the key of A flat. What if I did that little 6th exercise that I tried to get y'all to do? In C. That suddenly worked. What if I did that same exercise in the key of E flat? What if I did it in the key of G? Suddenly, I'm not thinking these 14 different chords. I'm thinking 4 different tonal centers. Wow. I'm giving you the good stuff, okay? You can do pentatonics in that. You can do major scales in that. You can do my dumb little scale exercises that I gave you. You could noodle around all day long in these different tonal centers, and it'll work. So I'm gonna when I get done, I'll put up that all the things you are with the tonal centers on there as well, and I'll put the link down in the description. All right. So let's give a couple of things away. All right. I want to give away a Joe Robinson CD. This is a Joe Robinson Undertones CD. Someone is about to win this. The winner of this is Steve Vegas 123. Make sure you're looking at the sheet there. Make sure we're not giving anything away to somebody we've given it away to. I want to give something else away. I'm giving away all my CDs. I got, these guests come and they give me CDs after CDs, so we're giving away a bunch of them. So Steve Vegas 123, you've just won a Joe Robinson CD. Send me your information at service@guitargathering.com. We had a wonderful songwriter, good friend of mine, Rob Harris, a few months ago. Rob's CD, Winnebago, great CD. We're going to give this to Maria Calfa de Paul. Maria, you're one of our regulars. I'm so glad that you're here. Send me your information, Maria. We'll get that CD out to you there. Okay. Mark Delaware is saying, your head is spinning. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I knew this was going to be advanced. I'm so sorry. All right. Now, let me just give a little plug for something. If you're interested in learning these jazz standards, this is the best book that I find. You kidding? I got myself through college with this book and a black suit, okay? And playing jazz gigs, okay? Get yourself a black suit and a real book, and I played gig after wedding after gig, all the way through high school and college. Got myself through college playing out of this book. Now they've got wonderful accompaniment tracks for all of these songs, and we put up a little in our store. If you go to the, I believe it's the books section, the guys will put up the link to it. There's one that has the real book with the USB play along, and it has a little jazz trio playing the tracks to not every song in here, but about 80% of them, the ones that really are the more common ones. If you're interested in that, we've got a few of those, and that's the best resource I could find. When I was a young'un, I didn't have these fancy ditto loopers. You would have to just play into a tape player, and many a summer days I would spend in my room with my cassette tape player playing these chord changes in there and figuring out these ways of soloing over. Now, they've got all kinds of tracks that you could do, or sometimes you can even go onto YouTube and find a backing track for particular songs that are great. If you're interested in that resource with the real book, with the tunes, and the backing tracks. Check that out. That link is there, and it helps us keep the lights on here. So, but that's one of the best resources I have found for doing that. D. Ryan is saying, do I prefer flat wound strings for jazz? Yes, but here's the deal, D. Ryan. Flat wound strings, most strings, these lower ones have ridges, except for the top two, the first and second string. Those are just the core. The other ones are, have this winding around them. Now, flat wounds have a flat winding around them, so they're all smooth. Now, they're really great, but they're perfect for jazz, But unfortunately, I play all kinds of different styles, so I don't string one for jazz, and then because I have to use it for other stuff. So there's other things where I would need to use this guitar for a blues thing or whatever. So I don't want to generally string it for jazz, because once you put the flat wounds on, they're great, but it only has one sound. It basically takes away all of the definition in your tone. It's just great for jazz, but if I want to play blues, you cannot get an edgier sound out of it. So that's my thoughts on that. Okay. Let me play another standard. I just flipped the page. I got to Don't Gun Around Much Anymore. Let's do that one. Okay? little bit of a don't get around much anymore there. Hey, let me take a couple of questions, and while we are going on here, Whatchamadoodle is saying, was I playing like this in college? Yes, as a matter of fact, I was. I was playing like that in college. I don't do much of the jazz as much as anymore, but then I was doing it kind of full time, so it was a lot. It was kind of all I did back then. All right, and if you have a question, please type it in all caps. That helps me to be able to see it, and we can go from there. Good. I'm glad y'all found the link to the resources there. Murray is saying, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. That's the old joke there. Hey, let me show you one more thing. I'm just going to, every thought I have, I'm just going to give it to you, okay? I'm sorry it's all scattered tonight, but I'm just going to give it to you. All right. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? You practice. All right, let me show you, let me give you a couple of quick keys. I'll have to do a real YouTube lesson on this in the coming days, but on how to learn a lick. Everybody wants to learn, give me the lick that I want to learn. Okay, and so they all think the answer is in this one lick. No, whether it's a blues lick, a Stevie Ray Vaughan lick, a little line, whatever. The answer is not in just playing that lick. Okay, so let's say my lick is this. Okay, so that's my lick. I'm in C, I slide from the C up to the E, G, A, C, common lick. Okay, so let's say that's the lick I'm gonna dissect and analyze. Well, first of all, if I hear that in a song, and I've got the guy's solo that he's playing or whatever, I want to learn a couple of things first. First, I want to learn actually the notes. It's actually a pentatonic scale. And he's sliding up from that second to third, let's say. So let's say that's a lick. So I want to figure out where he's playing that at. Because guitar, let me blow your mind a little bit, guitar, unlike piano, I can play the same lick a gazillion different ways. I haven't repeated myself yet. That was another one. Okay, so I've played it 5 or 6 different ways, and I haven't repeated myself once. And it's, if you look at it written on the music, it's the same lick. So you have to figure out kind of where is the best place to play it, which finger to use, things like that. What did the original artist use, things like that. That's first thing. So figure out the lick. And most people just stop there. They go, okay, in this song, I like this lick. Great. And they stop there. They learned it for that one song, and they think that's it. That's not it. You want to actually take it into your vocabulary. Think of it like learning a language. Okay, so if I said, hey, the word for today is whatever, and I tell you the word, and you read it back to me, and you go, blah, 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 that's the word. Great. You haven't learned it at all. You just can repeat it back to me. Okay? What you need to now, you need to look at how it's being used. What is that lick over? He was using that over a C chord. Great. Or was he using it maybe over an F major 7th chord? What if he was using it over an A minor chord? So I've got choices. I have to learn what context that he actually did that lick in. Okay, so I want to understand that chord. Oh, he did it, let's say, over the 1, that would be too easy. Let's say he did it over the 6 minor, the A minor. Okay, well, that's great. Now I kind of understand I could put that lick over a 6 minor. So think about that. The next time I see a 6 minor in another song in another key, I can throw that lick in. I just need to know how to transpose it to do that. The idea is that I want to take that lick and make it something that I can use, I can communicate with. Remember our language analogy? That I can start to use, not that I just kind of blurb it back to you, okay? So that's one thing. I learn the lick, I learn where he played it at, I learn over what chord it's being used, okay? Now, here's another thought. I can learn the lick backwards and forwards. So now I've changed direction on it. What if I change the octave on it? And then I change the direction on that. Suddenly I've got not just one word, not just one lick, I've got several that I'm building. What if I did two of them together? Suddenly I've got a triple lick out of one lick. So these are just little keys to do. Then I think, well, how can I adjust that lick? Maybe if it's, I like that lick, I really do. But what if it's a minor chord? Can I still use that lick? You have to think. I have to change that E to the E flat. Probably that A is not going to work too good. What if I changed it to a B flat? Now I've got a lick that works over minor. So I started with one lick. I added all these other things to it. Now I can change to it. Hey, what if I did, it's a C minor chord. What was that crazy thing Steve was saying earlier? That I could go up to the minor third of a chord and think of it in major. So that means I could play my lick in E flat major, because that's the minor third of the C. And I wonder if it'll work there. Works perfectly over that. Okay? You see how this all snowballs. So I learned how I can adjust it. What if I wanted to play that lick and end on a different note? What if I wanted it in there? What if it was over an A minor chord? F major 7. Back to the A minor. Don't just learn one lick for one place in one song. Try and make it part of your vocabulary that you can use it in all kinds of other things.